Keir Starmer is under fire again. This time, it's over his promises about easing the financial burden on Britons, promises that critics say were nothing more than empty words. With energy bills creeping higher under the new Ofgem price cap, Starmer's leadership is facing its harshest critics yet. And GB News commentator Mike Parry is holding nothing back, calling Starmer's approach deranged and accusing him of dipping into the pockets of hard-working Britons. But don't just take my word for it. Check out this fiery clip of Mike Parry tearing into Starmer live on GB News.
Mike, tell us about our energy bills.
Well, look, I think sometimes Keir Starmer sounds to me as though he's deranged. I mean, to actually say in his New Year broadcast, going to put more cash in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
We know that was never going to happen. We know that this race for net zero is going to cost us money. So now the figures have come out that the average this year is going to be 1,738, rising by another 52 quid in the spring. OK, but not only that, remember, the new Prime Minister also said, I'm going to tread more lightly on your lives when he got to Downing Street. He's treading more heavily on our lives and he is dipping into our pockets. Didn't I read between Christmas and the New Year that the air tax is going up? When you go abroad and you get onto an aeroplane, that tax has gone up.
Britons woke up on New Year's Day not only to resolutions and celebrations, but also to the grim reality of higher energy bills. The latest Ofgem price cap adjustment nudged average dual-fuel household costs from $1,717 to $1,738 annually, a small but symbolic rise in a time of financial strain. Critics argue that this minor increase is just another drop in the ocean of rising living costs, but for many struggling families, it is a drop too far. Enter Mike Parry, one of the most vocal critics of Starmer's leadership. During his fiery segment on GB News, Parry pulled no punches. He zeroed in on Starmer's New Year's broadcast, where the Prime Minister boldly claimed he would put more cash in Britain's pockets. Parry didn't just challenge the claim, he outright ridiculed it. I think sometimes Keir Starmer sounds as though he is deranged, Parry said, his tone dripping with disdain. To actually say in his New Year broadcast, I'm going to put more cash in your pocket, we knew that was never going to happen. Parry's words struck a chord with viewers, many of whom are grappling with higher costs not just for energy, but across the board. Parry didn't stop at energy bills. He lambasted Starmer for failing to deliver on Labour's promises, particularly those made by Shadow Minister Ed Miliband. We heard from Ed Miliband, did we not, that all bills were going to be cut by £300. That's gone completely upside down now, Parry said. Instead, costs are set to rise by nearly £500. This staggering reversal, Parry argued, exposes Labour's inability to manage the financial crisis affecting millions of Britons. The elderly, often the most vulnerable during the winter months, have not been spared. Parry highlighted that many pensioners have seen their winter fuel allowances slashed, leaving them struggling to heat their homes during one of the coldest times of the year. This affects the people who need help the most, Parry emphasised, and where's the government? Nowhere to be seen. As if energy costs weren't enough, Parry turned his ire toward Labour's broader tax policies. He singled out the £1,000 per passenger levy on private jet travel, a move the government claims will target the wealthiest and help fund public services. But Parry was having none of it. This is an outrage because wealthy people make the world go round. We need them, not punish them, he exclaimed. According to Parry, such policies deter investment and alienate the very individuals who drive economic growth. The commentator also expressed disdain for Labour's push toward renewable energy, which he claims is being implemented at the expense of the countryside. Sharing a personal anecdote, Parry described a recent train journey through northern England, where he was struck by the sight of sprawling solar farms. Staring out of the window of my first-class seat, I suddenly zoomed past these huge fields with all these solar panels in them. They're hideous, he said. This is where Labour's money is going, into ugly, ineffective projects, while ordinary people are left to pick up the tab. Parry's criticisms didn't stop at Starmer. Labour's broader economic strategy came under fire as well, with Parry accusing the party of taking Britain backward. He described the current policies as pernicious and nasty, claiming they are not only failing to alleviate financial pressures, but actively worsening them. For Parry, this isn't just a political misstep. It's a betrayal of trust. The outrage over rising costs extends beyond energy bills. Across the country, families are bracing for increases in other areas, including education. Parry pointed out that private school fees are set to rise in the coming weeks, forcing many parents to make difficult decisions about their children's education. In the next week, the fees of private schools will go up, and people will have to start taking their children out of their schools, he said. This is the reality of Labour's policies. They're squeezing every last penny out of us. Meanwhile, the debate around immigration has reignited following a surge in channel crossings over the festive period. Reform UK MP Lee Anderson has been one of the loudest voices calling for immediate action. Over Christmas alone, 1,500 migrants made the perilous journey, bringing the year's total to a staggering 36,816. Anderson didn't mince words, demanding that boats be turned back to France the same day they attempt to cross. Nobody in this country, apart from the wets, lies awake at night worrying about what the French will say, Anderson declared on GB News. Turn these men back and they will stop coming. Anderson also criticised Labour's approach to tackling people-smuggling gangs, describing it as a load of nonsense. For Anderson and many Reform UK supporters, Labour's efforts to address illegal immigration are too little, too late. They're getting put straight into hotels while the Labour Party bleats on about smashing the gangs. What a load of nonsense, he said. Anderson's comments have struck a chord with voters who feel that the government is failing to protect Britain's borders. Adding to the political drama is the return of Nigel Farage, hailed by Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe as the Messiah. In a striking New Year's address from Blenheim Palace, Farage laid out his vision for Britain, calling for an end to the two-party system and a return to common-sense governance. Lowe, who described the historic venue as totemic of this country, celebrated Farage's leadership, claiming it would bring much-needed reform to British politics. It's clear to me that the two cheeks of the same backside, as George Galloway described them, are a very weak gene pool, Lowe said, taking aim at both Labour and the Conservatives. As Starmer faces criticism from all sides, the question remains, can he turn things around? For commentators like Parry and Anderson, the answer seems to be a resounding no. With energy costs rising, taxes climbing, and immigration surging, the challenges facing Britain in 2025 are immense. And for now, the public's frustration is firmly directed at the Labour government. If you're as outraged by these revelations as we are, don't go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and stay tuned for more hard-hitting commentary and scandalous updates. This energy bill drama is just the tip of the iceberg. There's much more to uncover in 2025.